What's up, guys? This is Travis at Cultivate. I'm coming at you with a little bit of a different video this week. A couple weekends ago, we hosted a commercial cultivators seminar and Q&A featuring Front Row Ag and Biosafe Systems. We had Matt from Front Row and Zach from Biosafe give some presentations on their latest offerings and the best way to use their products. We love using Front Row here at Cultivate, and Biosafe is one of the best brands in the industry. So we're gonna release two different videos, one of Matt from Front Row, and then a second video is gonna come out next week with Zach from Biosafe, so stick around for that. Just because you're not seeing us in the video doesn't mean it's not a Cultivate video. We're just showing you the latest in industry standards and trends that we're hearing from the brands that we carry. So without further ado, here is Front Row Ag.
Front Row, where did we start? It was about 6 years ago that we decided that we were going to start the company. And what we were really looking at in the cannabis space was a lot of liquid fertilizer and complex nutrient lines. And we saw a huge opportunity for releasing a fertilizer program that was not only very high quality, but very simplistic and cost effective as well. And so Front Row, I started going to CSU in Fort Collins, Colorado, and I started my growing career back in about 2009 with one of my business partners, Egan. We still grow weed all the way to this day together, and then started Front Row together about 6 years ago with another business partner. But a lot of that was just coming from a place of that we wanted to give growers true value for the things that they're buying and putting into their facilities, and then offer them a lot of customer service and support. Good. So yeah, first off, it's quality above everything. We never want to sacrifice your yield. We do understand that you're business owners and there's a lot that goes into it. And so first off for us was putting together a recipe and a program that was going to exceed your expectations or give you a great starting point from where you already were. From there, we were looking at the huge margins and the markup for shipping liquid. And we said, okay, well, we can make this a very cost-effective product as well. And then simple. It's a three-part product. You'll hear us go through that. We have our A, our B, and our bloom. We do have some other value-added products that we go through, Silicate, SI, cleanup. Phostine is a product that will be coming, our Bioflow and Trilogic as well. The core of what we do, though, is our A, B, and bloom, our dry soluble line. And then it's super versatile from a standpoint that it can be used in anything from direct to reservoir, injection systems, undercurrent, deep water culture. You name it, we see it in pretty much every system. The other thing that we like to talk about that probably sets us apart from most companies is our technical support. Any day of the week, 7 days a week, you can call your local rep, Leland in Colorado or Missouri, John in Southern California, and they're growers. They're people you can talk to about the problems and issues you have going on in your grow, whether it's related to the fertilizer, irrigation or not, but they're people that are gonna listen to you and then answer your questions based on listening to you. They're not gonna tell you what to do based on what their experiences are. They're gonna say, okay, what's your specific situation and what's going on within your building and how can we better serve you as a customer? But customer service for us starts with our employees and our reps. And then we also offer services such as water quality testing, soil testing, and we do all of those things for our customers. So if you had a doubt, a question, or you wanted to know what your source water was coming in the building, bottle it up, send it off to our lab. We have an SOP for it, we pay for it, and then we give you the results and the feedback, and we tell you either how to modify the recipe or what you could do better to treat your water and improve your situation. But one small example of some customer service that we provide. Thank you. So A, B, and bloom, the crux of what we do in the core of our product line. We always like to start off talking about part B. For the better part of the 4 years we've been selling commercially, we had a serious production issue. Making dry soluble products and being a startup company is not easy. We're going to make some mistakes and we're human. The part B product is really hygroscopic and will wick water pretty much right out of the air. And it was really dependent on batch size and the quality of the inputs. And so as our company grew from making 4,000 pounds at one time, going up to making 40,000 pounds, to then 200,000 pounds in individual runs, you can imagine the scaling and what you have to deal with from an input and how you run equipment can be greatly impacted. And the honest truth is some of those things we would find out as the first time as we went along. With that though, in November of last year, we made substantial improvements to our blending lines and our infrastructure to monitor things such as the blending speeds, the augers turning, the temperature of the equipment, when to break down and let equipment cool off. And then we made serious changes, or not changes, but shifts in the quality of the raw materials. They all came from the same sources in the same places, but it came down to how well and fine they were ground, how much they were ground, and heat was put into them before then we would blend them into our processes. But part B, we did have an issue with. We feel as an organization and a company, we've rectified it really well. We tried to do our best with returns, but if you experience that issue, we feel it for you, and it was absolutely our fault. From there though, the product is very stable and very consistent. I mean, for months, years, 2 years at a time, that product can sit in the bag and it's gonna be consistent and flow and come out when you go to use it. So with that, then I'm gonna go back through our A and our B and our Bloom products. So we sell the 3-part base. It starts with our part A, which is predominantly our nitrogen source, and then our micronutrient package. Our micronutrient package, when you're looking at leading competitors in the industry, that's a huge difference from our product to a lot of other products. We have a considerable higher amount of micronutrients when you're looking at whether it's boron, magnesium, calcium, iron, and you go through, and that's what we feel makes a huge difference at the end of the day in your yields and your quality. The interaction of things such as boron and molybdenum, even though they're in such small amounts, they have tremendously large impacts on your quality and your yield at the end of the process. And so when you go through the part A, again, it's that micronutrient package is a huge value there. And then there's calcium nitrate and potassium nitrate that are adding to that nitrate load for you. The potassium nitrate also adds some potassium and lowers the nitrogen, so you're not overloading with nitrogen as well. The B, which I kind of just harped on the bad things about it, now what's good about it? If you're looking at the magnesium concentration in it, it's considerably higher than probably any product you're gonna find out in the industry that's a competing product in that category. And what I mean by that is just the guaranteed analysis of magnesium is higher. What does that mean for you? You don't have to use CalMag additives, and we stand behind that. We can show you from lab tests, anecdotally from our customers and other people, that because we can deliver more and we figured that process out, that you're not gonna have to use those other added products. And time over again, we've shown and proved that either with us or independently. The part B as well has a proprietary acid in it. The acid, I refer to it more as a solutionizing agent and a stabilizing agent. Doesn't do much in the dry form, but the second that product hits the water, whether it's in your stock concentrator or a reservoir, that acid makes all your chelates and all your cations more soluble, and it keeps them in solution longer and more available. The other thing you're gonna find in the part B that's pretty unique to our product is a surfactant as well, or a wetting agent. So there's a soap in it, basically, is probably at the most basic term. But what does that emulsifier or wetting agent do? It's gonna spread the water out more evenly once you've applied it to your media, whether it's Grodan, Cocoa Core, or even hydrogen. And then it's also gonna penetrate better, introduce oxygen, and just allow for better efficacy of the product. But if you're familiar with turf grass or any other things too, that's another good comparison, is soaps are a positive thing. They condition soils, they pump air back into them, and they create particle space. So in our part B, we have a surfactant. It's a dry product, and then you'll notice it when you start mixing it, you'll get some suds and some bubbles occasionally. And if you have a really aggressive mixing system, you actually see it sudding. So. Then you get into the Bloom, and the Bloom, I was a huge canna grower for years and years. I mean, probably 5 or 6 years I was buying, PK 13, 14, Boost and products like that are phenomenal. And so at base value, when you look at the label, it's a traditional PK booster, but then what's different about it, there's a considerable amount of magnesium sulfate in the product, and then potassium sulfate as well. And when you get into flower from veg, probably one of the more critical things is adjusting your calcium to magnesium ratio. The plant needs a lot of calcium in veg and still needs a lot in flower too. But with all that extra light you're gonna start pumping into the plant in really short periods of time, you need to increase the amount of magnesium the plant's giving. So our Bloom incorporates a lot of magnesium to then correct those ratios when you're coming out of veg into flower. The other thing you're gonna notice is, with the exception of probably part B, it is blue even though it looks white, but all 3 of the parts are colored as well. So our A is green, our B is blue actually, even though it's so dry it looks white now, and then the Bloom is red. A lot of people ask us why, and why do you do that? It's so that you know that not only there's fertilizer in your reservoir and that you've dosed something, but that you also don't mix the parts up if you're using injection systems or stock concentrate. If we didn't dye them, for instance, B and bloom are clear. Once you mix them, you can't tell the difference between them. And then we've seen time and time over in our own buildings and other people's buildings, well, I have 2 clear jugs. I just got done mixing them and I walked away for a few minutes, and now which one's A and which one's bloom and which one's B? And it's, well, unless you know how to validate it or check it in some pretty sophisticated ways, it's gonna be really hard to tell the difference. And so not only have I walked into my own buildings and after weeks of time, bloom's been in the B spot and B's been in the bloom spot, and it's like, well, it's probably my fault, no one else's fault. It's hard to tell, and that's a mistake of mine. So we like you to be able to see that you're using the correct product, it's in the right position, and your water is dosed. So once it goes into ready to use, say you're making a 3.0 EC or a 2.0, the water goes from being what your normal source water is from a clearness standpoint to having a slight hue of color, a little bit of blue if it's in veg, and a little bit more greenish to blue in flower because of the red that gets added. But you can tell there's something in the water versus nothing being in the water. Injection equipment too, you have the wicks coming out of your barrels. Well, am I actually injecting all the parts? Now you can see the fertilizer moving through the wicks and that you're actually injecting the product as well. But A, B, and bloom for the most part, that's the core of what they are. Front row SI, as a company, we've learned a lot about these products too ourselves. I've been growing for 12 years myself, and the way that I might use a product is not the same way someone else might use a product. And we think that we've got and we've released a lot of information, and monosilicic acid is what front row SI is. It's 100% available, plant available form of silicate, which is monosilicic. Your other forms are potassium silicates and silicate dioxides, and tiny, tiny percentages of those, yes, are available as silicic acid, but only tiny percentages. We've made a product that's 10% monosilicic acid and gives you a tremendous value. And then it's great. I mean, what it's gonna do for you is gonna add to the stem wall strength and thickness, which is gonna add weight. It competes with heavy metals to avoid heavy metals from building up. It acts as a secondary agent, basically in forming reactions too for metabolism. So where things that are similar to the charge of silicate could help to make those reactions, silicate's gonna do it better for you. Then you can look at any peer-reviewed source from a college or anyone from that's a good peer-reviewed source, and the presence of SI or silicate, whether it's a silicon dioxide, potassium silicate, or our silicate, is also going to help from an IPM standpoint response, but then the natural existence of that silicate too is going to help with disease resistance as well. Then SI, what we like to touch on is then the using of the product. No matter whether you're using our silicate product, Power SI, or any other great silicate product out in the market, monosilicic acid is unbelievably reactive. And so somewhere, no matter, and we have videos we can show you of 1.0 EC to 6.0 EC, which you'd never feed that, but we're just trying to exaggerate the situation. And then regardless of how much silicate you put in that water, at some point around the 3rd to 5th day, you start to have thin coagulates you can barely see on the water form and thin sediment falling out. And it doesn't matter what the silicate product is, it's just the natural reaction of silicate products. So what we like to explain is know your system and talk to us. That's what we do for customer service, is we're gonna talk to you about how long your reservoirs are sitting, where do you inject it, how do your filters work, your mixing chambers, how long is water sitting in certain places. And the honest truth is we might look at you at the end of the day and say, hey, you're going to have more issues using this product in your irrigation system, but you can apply it forwardly and have great success applying it to the leaf surface. So let's stick to that methodology and let's go down this road together so you have success with the product and success in your systems. But there's a good fit for it and certain ways to use the product, both in media and both spraying the product. But we like to tell customers you really need to go through that process with us and let us understand your systems, just so you don't have clogged filters or issues down the road. But yeah, 10% monosilicic, sorry, and then from a value standpoint, per ppm, I don't think you'd ever find a better priced product for you from a value. So, and all I mean by that is if you took the percentage of SI in any product or the ppm, and you took the dollars that you get per ppm, ours is going to be a better value. Thank you. Cleanup, another great product to use that's cost effective, but that can also be difficult. What is it? It's potassium carbonate, which is an awesome agricultural pH up, naturally existing. Any water test you're ever gonna take on the planet's gonna have some amount of carbonate in it probably, and that's just natural alkalinity in water. It's what you see on your shower head, or when someone calls water hard, that's hard water, is alkalinity. And then our product is a natural form of that, potassium carbonate. Also in the product is calcium hypochlorite. You see a lot of cleaning products out in the space, whether there's Zerotols, and Zach's gonna talk about that. This product does not fall in that category and is not competing with a product like Zerotol. What it is a continuous use as you're using it as a pH up, and it just introduces a tiny, tiny amount of calcium hypochlorite, which is the ag minimum recommendation for keeping an already clean system clean. So you get done at your end of your run, you do the shock with Zerotol, you get all your lines clean. That 1 to 2 ppm of hypochlorite our product introduces is only just gonna help to keep your lines clean throughout the process. It's not gonna be a shock, and it's not meant or intended to be used that way. Then what is hypochlorite? It's your most basic bleach forming compound, which you're gonna see in like hypochlorous acids or anything. So the moment that hypochlorite hits water, you get a little bit of hypochlorous, a little bit of chloride, chloramine, and chlorine. But all oxidizing agents and all safe to use in any ag setup. Then cleanup. The other thing you have to be really, really careful about in direct comparison is hydroxides. Like advanced nutrients, great product, great pH up, but we all know how strong and reactive that product is. I mean, it'll burn through your leather if you let it. But that product is a liquid based, and this is a dry product. And what happens with the hydroxide is it's just adding these HO molecules, which is base, and raising the alkalinity of your water with a chemical. Carbonate is CO3, and it's taking the naturally existing acid in your water and forming a reaction. It's actually helping to purify your water, for a lack of a better way of putting it. That CO3 goes in, and there's some acid, whether it's from my fertilizer or your water naturally sitting in that reservoir. That carbonate goes in, hits the acid in there, and it off gases into CO2 and oxygen. And now there's actually less things in your reservoir, and the pH has been adjusted. And it's not special to our carbonate. Any potassium carbonate pH product you would buy, that's how those work, versus a hydroxide, which is adding hydroxide to the solution versus subtracting. So this is more of a subtraction versus an addition, even though you're adding a product. But great to use. Again, it's a product that we love spending time with people on, because it really matters how much you use in stock concentrate and how you dose reservoirs with it. Super easy to use, super comfortable to use. It's just, it takes an explanation and a little bit of knowledge with it, and then you're off to the races with the product. Sweet, Trilogic. So this is an inoculant type product. It's a beneficial product that we offer. What Trilogic is, it's an enzyme-based product, and some beneficial bacteria and enzymes in there as well. And it's really gonna help the mobilization of nitrogen and phosphates, and a lot of your, and also potassium as well, but basically NPK mobilization. And then it's great for niche space and conditioning soil, I guess is a good way I'd put that too. When you have these great soils like Grower's Choice, and they're super clean and built for these grows, there's not a lot in them yet. And this is a great inoculation type product where you're gonna occupy space that other things you might not want to be could float in there and occupy. But just going to make all your nutrients more available and use them more efficiently, and then really inoculate the soil in the niche space so you have beneficial things growing there versus things subtracting from what you're doing. Bioflow, it's a great product. I really like, and I love that we talk about this product before we get into Phostine, which is another enzyme product that we offer, but it's performance-based. And Zach can touch on this too, but a lot of cleaning products that you would see out in the industry that say are enzymes come from the oil and gas industry, and they're line cleaners for welded pipes for natural gas, oil, and they absolutely strip minerals and biofilm and build up from those lines out. But they're enzymes meant for cleaning lines, and so you're gonna find out in the industry a lot of people are gonna sell you an enzyme and not quite tell you what it does or what it's gonna end up doing for you. by super majority, most of them are just cleaning products actually. And Bioflow falls into that exact category, but that's what we sell it for. We sell it to you as a cleaning product and an enzyme that is a line cleaner. And that is what it does. It's tremendously effective. It's all natural. You can use it while the plants are growing and it has zero effect on it. I probably wouldn't run all the stuff that it's gonna flake off right into your pots, but it is safe enough to run into the pots at the end of the day. Same types of enzymes, not all of them are the same, but similar to some of the ones you'd find in Trilogic as well. They're just super safe and very, very, very effective. I would say probably visiting some of the anecdotal information from some of our customers is some of the best experiences you'd see with that product. Is they'll show you the build-up prior to using the product, then them using the product and what comes out at the end of it. And it's a great, great line cleaning product. Again, though, this would be in the category of what Zach sells, which is great products like Xerotol, and there's a place and a time for all of them. So, sweet. So coming soon, really exciting product for us is Phostine. This is going to be the next new product that we release, and it's why I brought up enzymes in the manner that I did. This is an enzyme product. It's manganese and phosphatase are the two active enzymes. They're written right on the label, and we tell you what they do. And that's again where I draw comparisons to maybe products like Hygrozyme is a good example. There's probably like 10 different enzymes in that product and 80% of them are line cleaners. One of them cellulase that the plant actually can't use, and another one is an enzyme the plant does use in that product's defense. Phostine though is two enzymes the plant uses and is actively used in the rhizosphere. So what is it? Manganese is an enzyme that breaks down sugars. And so while your plant's growing and is healthy, the root zone is actually exuding a little bit of sugar right around the root zone to feed organisms right there, and then also to draw water into the plant. All manganese does before it moves into the plant is it breaks down those sugars right around the root zone and forces water to actually move into the plant faster and more efficiently. It takes a long sugar chain, makes it into a bunch of smaller ones, and by that it increases the sugar around the root zone a little bit. More water starts moving into the plant. That's really what it does. And so if you have a healthy plant and a healthy crop, better water activity and more water movement is going to relate to better quality, control, and yields. An unhealthy crop and an unhealthy plant probably won't see manganese do a whole lot for you. Phosphatase, another great enzyme. What does it do? It takes organic phosphorus and tied up phosphorus and makes it more and cleaves it off and makes it available again. If you went out and you looked at phosphorus availability from fertilizers or naturally existing soils, it's probably one of the lowest availability. If you said you had 1 pound per acre in your soil, maybe if you're lucky, a half a pound per acre of that phosphorus is actually available. Phosphatase in the ground systems, outdoor, and organic soils is going to cleave off that phosphorus all the time for you and make that natural phosphorus more and more and more available for you all the time. Or if you have organic amendments in your pots and your indoor, that's also going to help with it. Then as your fertilizer that we're selling you is using cation exchange with the media and getting tied up on some of the particles in the soil, same thing. The phosphatase is going to help to cleave those off once they start getting attached as well and reintroducing them into the mix. The other thing that it is, you'll notice it has an NPK value. The carrying agent is monoammonium phosphate, but the usage rate on this product, you would notice, is tremendously, tremendously low. And so the ppm of ammonium it's going to add is in the single digits, and same with the phosphate. So, but then when you look at the ppm or CFU of the enzymes that are being added, to give you an example, Hygrozyme being one of the more sold, or probably from my growing career, starting back in 2009 that I'm familiar with, it's about 35 times more concentrated enzyme for enzyme. If you just said all enzymes are the same, ours is going to deliver you 35 times more at the same usage rate. But then they actually do something. Sweet. So where do you find all of our information and where do you get more information from us? Our website, www.frontrowag.com is a great resource. We also have our Instagram handle, which is front_row_ag. A lot of links there too. But you go to our website, we revamped it over the last year. I mean, honestly, Brian has been pivotal, and again, Sean and Alex, I can't thank them enough for that. But you go on the website, you'll see great displays of our products, product shots, and then you're also gonna find all of our feed charts and a lot of other useful information. Sorry. There's calculators. If you're wondering, well, how much front row do I need? We have calculators where you can type in your water usage or your square footage, a lot of different ways you can skin it. but and then the ECs and feed strengths you want to use, and it's going to provide you estimations and costs on our product relative to probably what you're using. And then you can sit there and start to make general comparisons that will eventually help you more with as well. On there as well, then there's custom feed calculator. You can go in and from the weeks of veg all the way through flour, you can type in any EC or special conductivity that you want, and it's going to shoot it out in a dry grams per gallon or a milliliter per gallon and tell you how to make that recipe or that feed as well. And then the other one we most recently updated was the what was it? The another usage calculator. I'm trying to remember. Okay, yeah, sorry. The usage calculator, we've broke it a few times, so sometimes we take it up and we put it down, but it's back up there live and we'll find an error with it, I'm sure. But generally they work. I think at one point I typed in like values that couldn't even exist on it, and it shut the thing down, and I'm like, well, you still can't have that happen on a website, so fix it. Yeah, and then SDS sheets are product labels, any of that information you need from a regulatory or for the MED or any of the other states you work in. A ton of that information is just posted and very, very easy to find for you up on the website. Custom feature I just referred to. That's a picture of what it looks like. Outside of that too, kind of back to customer service for a second, Leland, John, and Leland being your market rep, I'll use him as an example. There's a lot of resources that aren't on the website too that our team has at their disposal. We have a very basic profile that we feed. We call it the mid-flour profile or even ratios. So when you would make our product into a liquid, stock concentrate for injecting, you use equal milliliters of all of our parts, which makes it super simple. If you're using 16 of A, you use 16 of B. If you get into flour and you're using 14 milliliters of bloom, A gets used at 14 milliliters and bloom gets used at 14 milliliters. But we all know that there's different needs for different plants, lighting, environments, VPD. So Leland at his disposal for customer service. We also have calculators and feed charts where we can show you higher and lower levels of pK and calcium to magnesium ratios as well. That can be a better fit for your system as well. But that's what we do. We sit down, we talk to you, and we talk through that and understand what you're doing. And then we have our local store partner, again, Cultivate, I can't thank enough. Any of you, if you're trying to find where can I find this product in Colorado, Cultivate. They're our strategic and our exclusive distribution partner here in Colorado. So even if you want the Leland, you should still, not that Leland wants me to say this, you can still come here and probably get a better price. Yeah, and as much as we, I know, I'm sorry, I know, it is rough to do that to Leland, but Cultivate, just like us though, is gonna offer you a lot of added value and a ton of services in addition to a rep like Leland too, which is a huge benefit of walking into the store. I mean, look around, there's all the soil, the supplies, gloves, scissors, guys like Zach and Biosafe. There's a lot of added value and reasons that we set up strategic partners, and I feel very fortunate to have people like Chip and the Cultivate team. But locally in Colorado, that's where you can find the product, and if you need an additional resource, they're an awesome team for us. The Instagram, another great source. You'll notice, we've been trying to revamp that as well. So you'll go through and a lot of the content is getting updated to be more professional, for lack of better terms. Not videos I've taken or I've done, but videos Sean and Alex help us with or that we get directly from some of our consumers. And then through that though, you're gonna get better information on how to use our products and then just general cultivation knowledge as well from it. But the IG handle is great, and then it's a good resource in addition to our website. I'll link to our website as well, and all of our feed charts are on there too. But, yep, that's Front Row. I really, really appreciate your time. We stand behind our products. Again, we make mistakes, whether it's shipping, products, whatever it is. We love to hear feedback from you, and we always want to improve and get better. And with that, we'd love to help and support your company as well.